We're talking.
What's going on? You want to tell me? Secrets hurt someone. Secrets are no fun. No? We're talking about sharing secrets? We give me a silent treatment on purpose. The show always starts with chaos. Like, it never starts
We're
clean.
figuring it out.
I like it that way. You know, we're keeping it real.
That's true.
This is how it works.
There's almost nothing
It is
scripted
that.
in this show, by the
No.
way. There are some words in the prompter, but we mostly ignore them. This is the after show. It's not a news program. It's a chance for 4 people to sit on a couch and complain about stuff. And it's your chance to complain, too. We actually have a really good topic today because I think this is something that has affected all of us in one way or another. I'm going to get right to it. How do you stop bullying? It's a question that we've been asking for a long time, but one city in Wisconsin thinks they've got it figured out. They're proposing a law that would fine the parents of kids who exhibit bullying behavior. They're going to warn them first, and then after the warning, the first fine is $50. It's actually over $300 with administrative fees.
Wow.
And then goes up to around $1,000. So what do you think about this? Who should be held responsible for a child who bullies other kids?
That's a tough one.
It is a tough one, but it could be effective, you know, and as far as getting
The parents involved.
parents to take some responsibility, for sure.
I think a lot of discipline problems start at home.
Yes.
I think a lot of that behavior is probably learned at home. Kathleen brings up a great point in the comment section, though. Says, what if the parents are unaware of the bullying? Then what? You going to hold them accountable? I would argue yes, because they are responsible for that minor under the age of 18, regardless if they're aware of the behavior or not. You know what I
maybe
mean?
you do the warning
first,
The first
yeah.
time you may be like, oh my gosh, I cannot believe
Right.
it. But we came into a situation with a group of friends and their daughters, and when the parents, parent to parent, were confronting each other about the bullying situation because the school had alerted them, the parents of the girl who was bullying were like, oh my gosh, we had no idea. We're horrified of that. Well, come to find out, the school counselor's like, this little girl has been terrorizing people since she was 5. So it's like, the first time you nip it in the bud. Yeah. Period.
Steven says we don't need more laws. I'm not sure how that's applicable here. This isn't a law necessarily. It's a
consequence.
It's a consequence for actions. Debbie says, good morning from New Jersey. We got some interstate viewers this morning.
Hello.
Caitlin says, what if the bully is special needs? I imagine that's a different situation, Caitlin. I think that would be handled on a case-by-case basis, as I imagine most of these bullying situations are.
For sure.
And this bullying, when they say bullying, it includes physical bullying, it includes verbal bullying, it also
Social
includes
media,
online
I'm sure,
harassment.
yes.
That's the thing that's tough for
Now
schools
it's
to
different.
police. I mean, I remember when I was in school, the internet was just starting to become a thing, and I remember encountering the first case of like online bullying via AOL Instant Messenger, where I was being bullied by a kid at school.
Oh my God.
Yeah, but the school didn't have any idea how to handle it then. I'm not sure they're any more equipped to handle it now.
Right.
But
That's a
now,
difficult one.
I feel like there are ways that if you know this is happening, hopefully your child or someone is going to tell you, and you can screen grab and there's evidence of it. You can Snapchat all you want, but people still screen grab it and can tell if you're bullying people.
I'm not sure if people are taking this topic seriously or if we just have some extremists in the comment section this morning. John says, an opportunity to monetize our children, dust off the belt. We will not condone hitting your kids on this show. Chavez wants to send bullies to prison. I don't know if that's the option either.
They sometimes may end up in prison. You never know. Honestly.
Listen, I'll just speak from experience here for a second. I was bullied in school. I was also a bully. It's kill or be killed, I think, in a lot of our public school systems, for better or worse. And it probably would have been a good thing if bullies were dealt with a little better, I think. But I almost want to, and this is not an okay thing. I'm not saying it's okay, but I think being bullied in school is part of growing up. And I don't think it should be that way, but it is for a lot of us. It sculpts who we are. We deal with adversity. We deal with rejection. We learn that not everyone in the world is our best friend, that sometimes people are out to hurt us. Sometimes people only care about their own selfish interests. You learn to deal with those situations. And if you can learn to handle them constructively and intelligently without without violence leading to more violence, I think that's a productive thing.
It depends on what age, because when you're so young, you don't know how to handle that situation, you know, when you're in elementary school or even junior high. I feel like I was bullied too. But my mom handled the situation. Like you said, you're a mama bear. My mom is definitely a mama bear. So she went to the school, talked to the principal, made the principal call the girl's mom and brought her into the office. And then they told them what was happening. And it turns out the girl at the time that was bullying me, she really liked me and wanted to be my friend, but she didn't know how to express that. So instead she picked on me, kind of like, you know, when boys pick on you when they like you in school. And so we ended up being really good friends. However, like her home life was a little destructive, and, you know, it was different compared to the way I was taught and teaching, you know, growing up. But I just think at that time you're kind of too young to know, like, oh, maybe this will help me grow as a person, and this is how I should handle this. And like, you don't know how to handle it at that time when you're younger,
right?
You know, so I think the parents definitely do need to step in, because how do you handle that situation? Some kids don't even tell their parents that they're getting bullied.
No, absolutely not. And that, which has been to tragic end in many cases that we see all the time, because especially I feel with this social media stuff that's happening online that's not as overt, that the school may not know and the parents may not know, but these kids are being terrorized and you can't escape it. And the thing is, people from other schools, that's the thing that is just beyond me, you know, not growing up in that era of social media, is like people from other schools you don't even know are piling on.
Yeah.
I mean, it's really hard to, and what are you going to say? The kid just should not be on their phone? It's near impossible these days. So it's awful. It's awful. But there has to be some consequence.
Kids don't really understand how to control their emotions either, to Vanessa's point. You know, like, their actions are not necessarily manifested out of their true intentions. Like, the boys that like you are pushing you on the playground. Like that, as an adult, you look at that behavior and be like, that's the complete opposite.
Right.
Yeah.
Yet there are adults who do abuse the ones they love, but that's another issue for another day. I think that it has to start at home. There are a lot of people in the comment section arguing right now. Nina says, maybe the child should be held accountable for their own actions. This is why we live in a world with extremely entitled young adults, because they're coddled. I don't think finding the parents is coddling the child necessarily. I think finding the parents is a way of finding responsibility outside of the school system, because you could put the kid in detention for a week, but if that is not going to encourage behavior changes at home, then what? Like, what's the purpose of the detention? What lesson are we learning
Aren't
here?
parents called when, you know, the child's not doing homework or all these other things? So then get the parents involved, whether it's a fine or not, get them involved, get them in the know that their child is bullied, and try to make change that way, even if it's not with a $50 or $1,000 fine or whatever.
Yeah,
Nina, you can't rely on a 14-year-old to just be responsible for their own actions. There have to be adults that are sculpting that human being, or else we're all, you know, raised by wolves, for lack of a better term.
Yeah.
And you know, I think we put a little too much stress on our school system to raise our kids as it is. I mean, you talk about the salary. This is a big point of an issue last year when Red for Ed was taking over Phoenix. These people aren't being paid to raise your children. You know what I mean? Like, and a lot of times they're glorified babysitters, unfortunately, because they've got 40 kids in a classroom and they've got a curriculum they're trying to teach. And they're also trying to handle like major developmental problems that are manifesting themselves in 12, 13, 14-year-old kids. I mean, there needs to be guidance outside of the school system. Just holding the kids responsible for being bullies, I don't think is getting the message across.
Plus, it's mom and dad that can ground you or not let you go to that whatever you want to do with your friends. And that's the worst punishment. I would think that would maybe really help a child shape up real quick.
That's what Grayson believes. He says, I believe that parents should be 100% accountable for their kids' actions. If the kid is under 18 and living under their roof, then the parents are responsible as well.
I like this one from Gavin. If you saw, as a teacher, looking at the root cause of bullying and what's holding our students back from being the best version of themselves in and out of the classroom is a lack of self-regulation skills and self-love due to mental trauma. Building a foundation is the catalyst of self-gratitude. Mindfulness yoga, talked about this morning, is the answer.
We did talk about that. There was that was a completely separate story, but there are some correlations here, because
that's good.
We were talking about a school that's swapping out detention
for yoga
classes, like a different sort of mindfulness.
Oh, and meditation too, because they teach us that as we become adults and we get older, right? That you need to meditate and you need to take a few minutes to yourself to gather yourself. And when you wake up in the morning, and it makes you feel better, and you just have a better day. So maybe if we teach the kids when they're younger, you know, then they can learn to channel that negative energy into something positive. You know?
Well, that can benefit the bully and the bullied. I think it is kind of like centering, mindfulness, learning how to control oneself and how to calm down in a situation.
Daryl is trying to get out in front of the bullying issue. She says, I talk to my son all the time about bullying other kids. I tell him I will not condone it, and he assures me he does not do that and watches out for the kids that are being bullied at school.
Yeah.
Let's see.
We have a lot in here. Alicia said, finding the parents will make the parents pay attention and take action with their kids.
There are a lot of people that want kids to get hit for being bad in school. I think there have been a lot of studies done that show that that doesn't really send the message you're looking for.
Right. It's not effective.
Yeah.
In study after study after study that we see, they've just found that it's not.
John wants to bring corporal punishment back to school. Were you ever hit in school? Or
I wasn't, but our principal did paddle the boys.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, he had it was Texas. Yeah, a big old paddle that he hung over his desk. And it had holes in it because it was supposedly like would
More
catch
aerodynamic.
air.
Oh, yeah.
Yep.
So, and yeah, the boys got paddled. Pants on, but boys got paddled.
I'm pretty sure my dad was hit in school as well. The nuns at his Catholic school
I'm sure,
had all
yeah.
sorts of weapons that they would use on kids.
They wrap you on the knuckles with the, is that
Yeah,
people
yeah.
say that the rulers?
Oh my God.
We're glad that was outlawed.
Yeah,
when
I'm
we were
like,
in school.
I didn't have any of that, thank goodness.
Speaking of violence, we're going to take a brief break from this discussion and get to another incident of violence. It's our ICYMI from this morning on Today in AZ.
For some reason, seemingly out of nowhere, Justin Bieber is challenging Tom Cruise to a fight.
Get it!
I know, right? Apparently, he's never seen the Mission Impossible series, or maybe Bieber has some MMA skills that he wants to really put to the test. Well, either way, it's weird. Bieber tweeted out, quote, "Tom, if you don't take this fight, you're scared and you will never live it down." Well, Cruise hasn't said anything about it. In fact, he probably doesn't even follow Bieber, so he doesn't even know this is going on.
This is some sort of a cry for help.
Yeah, he really wants some extra attention, right?
I'm looking up the tail of the tape on these two right now. I'm going to get you their height and weight in just a minute.
Yeah.
By the way, Bieber, $145, 5'9".
Okay.
Wet.
Cruz, 5'7", $148. So comparable size. Here's the rub, though. Cruz is 52. Bieber's 25. I don't care how many Mission Impossible movies you've been in. I like Bieber in that fight.
Really? I
do.
think he would be
I'll
a
take the
messy
beat.
fighter. He'd be a messy fighter, like all over the place.
Exactly.
And I feel like Tom Cruise would be like collected and knew what to do. You're out. You know?
Those short guys are tough. I wouldn't
See,
mess
you
with
see me.
I'm with you 100% on this one.
We'll have to wait and see what happens.
Crystal, I like you over
it.
both of those guys. You got great
Well,
reach.
thanks, Bob.
Yeah.
Got some good moves.
Absolutely.
Shadowboxing class
choreographed that.
It was perfectly choreographed.
Hey, so that just shows don't mess with us, okay? We are good to protect ourselves.
What was that?
Yeah.
I know, the flailing, and then, yeah.
But I think that's true. I definitely think Tom Cruise would win in this fight. Like, even one of our photographers emailed me after he watched this, and it's so true. He's like, Daniel Clark was like, you know what? Don't forget that Tom Cruise did all his own stunts
Yes.
in the movies.
Yeah.
He's
So
very
he knows,
well trained.
Yeah, what he's doing. And
Bieber
Bieber,
is a jeez.
Tom Cruise also has, and this is something I've thought about probably way too much, like theoretical fights.
Yeah.
Tom Cruise has dad strength. It is what it is. It's dad strength. When you reach a certain age of physical maturity as a man, you become stronger in ways that younger men just simply aren't. And when you look at Justin Bieber, who sometimes looks like a wet noodle inside his t-shirts and his backwards baseball hats, and you look at Tom Cruise, you see a sturdier looking man. Like, Tom Cruise has dad strength. And
I
I'm
feel
pretty
like he
sure
would just
you're
pick up
right.
Bieber by the collar and be
Yeah.
like, ugh.
I think he would also win with his words. Like he would, Bieber would probably be like mouthing off at him, and Tom Cruise would be calm and collected and just like say something smart.
It's gonna get him
But
with
to
the
him, and he'd be like,
Scientology.
oh,
Yeah.
You know?
I was wondering how long this would take to get into
Yeah.
Scientology.
I feel like he's a little bit more centered. Bieber's just a hot mess right now,
He's
period.
alright. He
And I
even
think
had a
that's the
typo in
source
his
of this.
tweet.
And you can't threaten people with the grammatical error. It just takes away from what you're trying to say. Just word of advice.
You guys ever think about this, like theoretical fights?
No.
You remember Celebrity Deathmatch on MTV?
Yes.
Yeah, you remember. I used to watch Celebrity Deathmatch all the time.
Those are
Claymation
funny.
fights. Yeah.
I haven't been in a fight since I was probably in the 6th grade.
Oh, this
I would
is a
not
good
do
chance
too
for a
well.
story time. Fights.
Was it?
Fights.
Oh, yeah, I have a
Fights.
good story. All right, so the last time I got into a fight, it was a redhead named Charlotte.
Oh, Charlotte, you're the worst.
So Charlotte was making fun of my Michael Jackson stickers on my binder.
Oh my God.
No.
And
She was 35 at the time.
she was
by the way.
bullying me. So she was making fun of my Michael Jackson stickers. So we were in the gym locker room, of course, and we got into like a shoving match and whatever, it was not good, shoving into the lockers, all this stuff. And I was Justin Bieber. I was just like, just scrappy. But then I came home and I had like all these scratches on my neck, and my mom was like, "What happened to you today?" Like Charlotte was making fun of my Michael Jackson stickers.
Oh my gosh.
Oh my.
That little wretch. Where's she today?
It's a fun game. Look them up on Facebook. See how they're doing.
Her last
Find
name,
Charlotte.
though.
Oh my gosh.
I really can't remember her last name, or I totally would call her out. But no, I can't remember her last name.
Vanessa, you've been involved in some fisticuffs, I'm sure.
That's what they're sticking.
I know.
I'm not even going to share these stories, but
Give us one.
I just want to
mine.
remind you that I'm from Maryville, okay? That I'm from Maryville. I grew up in the West Valley. Maryville's a little rough school, so sometimes you have to protect yourself. But I will tell you this, I didn't get confident, or I wasn't confident until I turned 21. So prior to that, I got bullied all the time. I would come home and I'd cry because people would make fun of me,
Right.
you know, and so I was so sensitive growing up, and then all of a sudden, I don't know what happened. I turned 21 and it was like, nobody can mess with me. I think I was just fed up. I was fed up of everybody picking on me, and I got super upset. So I remember, I'll share one because it wasn't that bad, but we were in a club and I had just turned 21. And
Was it a fight club?
It was over a boy.
Oh, no.
And so, which is silly to this day. So this girl came charging at me, and I could see her from afar, and I was like, oh my gosh. So like, I didn't know what to do, but some guy grabbed me to pull me back, you know, and so instead I kicked my legs up, and she ran into my feet.
Oh.
And she fell back, and then that was it because they, you know, like stopped us. But
That was a good move.
it was a good move, that guy trying to pull me back because I just picked up my feet.
I didn't choreograph that too.
No. So she knew not to mess with me after that.
quick action.
But
That's what I'm
yeah.
thinking,
So no. And so anyways, I don't get in any fights anymore. I've retired. I put up the boxing gloves, and
Hung 'em up.
it just took some. It's so funny how I just changed though. Like, I'm like, how do you go from being a little crybaby all the time to like being like, don't mess with me, and everybody knew not to mess with me after a while.
Crystal?
Oh, don't you see that halo over my head?
Yeah, I know. You're looking innocent over there in the corner.
No, I was bullied growing up, especially on the bus.
Yeah.
Hated it.
Oh, the bus was a nightmare. Yep.
The only thing I can think of is, but it's not like, it was like, I don't know, grade school, and there was a cute boy, and I just pushed him up against the wall because I liked him. That'd be it.
That really no fights.
No.
Oh. Okay. Well, we have. What about you?
I'm running the numbers in my head right now. I've only been involved in one actual fight, but I've been sucker punched a lot. Like,
my
I
God.
keep coming up with new oes. I thought it was only 3, but now I'm up to 5.
Wow.
Why
I've
are you sucker punch? Are you
men
being
or
mean?
women?
Both.
Date not go well?
I had a feeling.
The only fight I've ever gotten involved in was with my best friend's little brother. So I was really, really big growing up. I've always been the fat kid. And this kid, Josh, used to pick on me all the time. He would never stop. But he was my friend's little brother. So it's kind of like, you know, what are you going to do about it? We went to a Pistons-Pacers preseason game. And Josh was the younger brother. He was with our group, and he would not stop all night. And at one point, I just told him, I said, Josh, you say one more thing about it, and I'm gonna beat your ass. And he was like, yeah, whatever, man. Like, you couldn't even swing around your belly or whatever. He said some other fat joke. And I said, all right, Josh, when we get home, like, we are fighting. My buddy lives in this condo complex called the Wexford Green, and it had this, like, green space of just, like, grass where people would take their dogs out in between, like, the condo buildings. And then right after the game, Josh and I were out there. My friends say to this day it was the worst fight they've ever seen in their lives.
Oh, no.
But I was the only one that did some real damage. So after we had scuffled and ran out of breath for a little bit, we kind of came back together one more time. And I went around with the right like this, kind of like a swinging motion, and broke his nose and just ran inside the house, you know, holding his face together. His mom called me immediately and was livid. I'm sorry,
sure.
Brenda. I'm sorry I broke your son's nose. We ended up making up and everything was okay in the end. You know, boys will be boys, I guess. But Josh had it
friends the
coming,
next
man.
week.
Josh had it coming. But the other times are all bad. I mean, like I've been sucker punched in the face a few times. I had a girl just unload on me one time. She was drunk down in a bar in a few cities ago where I used to live.
And what did you do to her? What'd you say?
Not a thing. She wanted to have she wanted to dig up the past a little bit and want to talk about why things went sour, and I wasn't trying to play the game. And she just kept putting back drinks and got more and more aggressive. And at one point I was just laughing at her. I was like, what are you doing right now? And then she threw the drink on me and then got 3 shots. It was one to the cheek, one to the chest, and then one right in the ear.
that
Have you never been
hurts.
punched in the ear? Not
can
great.
I could imagine, yeah.
But
She's a strong little thing.
then I got grabbed, the Vanessa thing, and like I was going to hit her back.
You didn't give her like the Jean-Claude Van Damme, the Vanessa.
No, I kept my hands off her.
Now that I think about it, I'm like, dude, that was pretty cool.
was awesome.
Like, that
I
was like a
totally
movie
picture it.
move, you know?
It was a movie.
But before that, when I was just thinking about this, the girl that was bullying me, right, that my mom went and talked to her mom, so we became really good friends after that. And she got into a fight when we were in high school. And this is before I was brave and I was still sensitive. So I remember all of us went to this area down the streets because we were away from the school, and she was getting in a fight with this other girl. So all these people are there and we're watching it all, right? Yes,
Yeah,
yes.
yeah.
And so everybody knew that I was a little sissy and the sensitive one. So they're like, Vanessa, hold all our jewelry. And I'm like, okay.
You gotta take the earrings off, and they take the extensions out.
And they knew I wasn't gonna do anything, so I'm like, okay. And then I'm holding all the jewelry and they're fighting, and then a dog gets in and I start crying, and I'm like, oh my gosh.
You should have just ran off with the jewelry.
Oh
The great
my
heist.
word.
That's a classic high school fight.
Right? Yeah. And it's usually over boys, which is so
Yeah,
silly, because when
it's
you
so
think
dumb.
back about it, I'm like, why did I even care? Like,
Literally.
you take them out of my
Please.
hands. Yes.
Yeah.
So funny.
So, Crystal, you got some catching up to do. Anybody you want to fight right now? Maybe send a message out to the people at home? No?
Isn't this what we're trying to avoid?
Yes, that was sarcasm.
The fighting?
For the record.
Yeah.
I wish we had time to get to more of your comments about bullying, because you guys have been blowing up the page, but we got to get going here, unfortunately. Time is up. We got to do a Today Show cut-in on 12 News. We'll see you tomorrow at 7:30 on the couch for the Today and AZ After Show. Thanks to everybody who popped by and weighed in on our.
Thanks for hanging out with us.
I want to go kickboxing.
Don't get in any fights. Stop bullying people.
Can't we all
It's
just
bad.
love one
Yes.
another?
No fights.